Shalosio Yatzarel. It's your brother, your cousin, your nephew, young Aniyunwiyah, reporting live on behalf of the Master of Breath, Messi, to complete your awakening, and to let you know that despite what they told you, your righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and your law is the truth, not theirs. The whole point of this presentation is to let you know that the prophecy that I spoke on this channel in my very first video ever is being fulfilled. That it was being fulfilled, but now you're seeing the second phase that I mentioned come into play. The first phase was fulfilled, and now the second phase is being fulfilled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a tiny clip from that video so that you can remember the part that has yet been unfulfilled and is now coming to pass. It's showing you the second phase. Then I'm going to show you the part that had already been fulfilled, the first phase. I'm going to show you both of those things. I'm going to show you the war for desolate heritages, and I'm going to show you the purge, and how I prophesied them both, and what they actually are.
Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up out of your sleep!
If you haven't yet heard, the hot, dry conditions in Israel met strong winds, which culminated in wildfires in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv on April 30th. A severe sandstorm fed the wildfires and caused them to grow exponentially in scope. The inferno displaced more than 10,000 people from their homes. Juan Cole is a renowned historian at the University of Michigan, which is a Tier R1 research institution and ranked third nationwide by the National Science Foundation, and he does independent journalism covering several beats, including climate change. The following are Cole's words, not mine. Quote, "Whatever the proximate cause of these wildfires, the actual villain of the piece is climate breakdown, caused by human beings spewing billions of metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere every year. By burning gasoline, coal, and fossil gas, the average temperature of Earth's surface is heating up twice as fast in the Middle East as the global average, producing extra aridity and heat that are conducive to wildfires." End quote. Please understand that this is not a time for us to say heartless things about the people inhabiting the state of our namesake today. Don't you dare laugh. Don't you dare diminish their pain. Don't you dare undermine the severity of what is happening to the Jewish people. What's happening to them is tragic, and we should take it seriously. That said, just as it was my job to tell you that this was coming, it's now also my job to tell you I told you so. Only my original core audience will remember this, but I prophesied this in detail in the very first video on this channel. I told you that the entire region would devour its inhabitants and that the ecosystem would collapse in the process. The reason I have to remind you of this is because that prophecy had many parts to it. The first part was the war for desolate heritages, and the second part was the purge. I told you that the war for desolate heritages was a battle that would take place when Iran attacked Israel with the support of other Arab partners, and that attack would be marked by several climate events, which I listed for you in detail. Each one of those things came to pass beginning just 3 months after I spoke this prophecy, 3 months down to the day. When I listed those events, though, I told you that this would be the beginning of what I called the purge, which is when Elohim begins to forcibly remove the inhabitants of not just the state of Israel, but the entire region.
Abyatzidqenu, the Great Spirit, the possessor of the primordial waters, is going to avenge Wael al-Dadu by fanning the flames of war against Benjamin Netanyahu, who will trigger the greatest threat his state has ever seen. The war of the desolate heritages is going to fulfill this prophecy as it has been stated. and fulfillment is going to serve as a sign that Yahuwah is not only real, but holy. This will sanctify Hashem Adonai Yahuwah Elohim. This begins the purge of the land. And the next phase of the purge is going to be beyond this war. Lands of the Middle East are going to devour their inhabitants very soon. It's about to happen. An entire regional ecosystem is going to experience violent upheaval.
Hey y'all! First of all, like and subscribe to the channel, but also, Aniyunwiyah is recruiting, and if you don't know what Aniyunwiyah is, we're a grassroots activist group lobbying Congress to amend a bill to require education and research to acknowledge the Negro origins of Aboriginal groups of North America. If any of you have it to give, please support the campaign using the QR code on your screen, join the campaign with a donation, and if you have the time, you can even join our staff to help guide the organization, not just for this campaign, but also future endeavors. Don't speak about it, be about it. Let's go.
Who is Elohim? Elohim is the elements. Earth, wind, fire, water, plasma. Those are those are just their armies. Who are they individually? Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, helium, and so on and so forth. Did you forget that it was fire that commissioned Moshe to lead our ancestors out of the house of bondage? Was it not water that carved a path for them to exit that land? Was it not a tornado that they followed by day and a flaming tornado by night? Didn't that tornado speak to Moshe and Yahushua ben Nun at the tent of meeting? Didn't the avatars that appeared to Yehezkiel first project as a beam of light from a tornado? Didn't the spirit of Elohim hover over the waters before creating anything? The primordial soup? Didn't Mother Earth give birth to your flesh? And will she not take you back into herself when your avatar is finished? Did they not breathe the sacred wind into man to give us life? Who's they? The ones who said, "Let us create man in our image." Are you not literally made out of them? Your entire body maintains its body heat via cellular respiration, which is a metabolic process of controlled combustion. Every cell is a tiny furnace whose fire releases thermal energy. Your entire consciousness is nothing more than bioelectricity surging all over your brain, and it's sustained by electrical impulses, not only in the brain but also in the heart, which carries a cardiac electric field. Your body is filled at all times with anywhere from 50 to 80% water, depending on gender, age, meals, and daily activity. Your flesh was literally crafted from the soil itself, and your breath is only your share of the sacred wind that animates and moves all the things on earth. Your life ends when that sacred wind returns to the atmosphere. The elements made this world and everything in it, including us, and they're sustaining life itself. That's why they're called Elohim. El meaning power or force, and Chai meaning life or living. Put together they make Elohah, plural of which is Elohim. Life forces or living powers. What you read as God in the Tanakh is in fact the elements. The elements are simulating a controlled purge in the Middle East, just as I told you they would. Why is it my job to say I told you so? Is this just heartless human hubris? Aimless aggrandizing arrogance? Deranged demonic dogma? None of the above. The prophecy of the war for Desolate Heritages was a sign. Fulfillment thereof signified that the purge was imminent. And when the purge happens, it will prove that Yahweh Elohim, the life forces of existence, the elements of the universe, must be real, because Yahweh foretold the ecological turnover of the Promised Land and its surrounding region long ago through Yeshaya. Sefer Yeshaya Shishim Wachemesh Shiba Aser. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. Heaven isn't a place. Never in the Tanakh is heaven a dimension apart from our own. It's the skies, plural, shamayim, the layers of the atmosphere. And the earth here is the land, not the globe. Yahweh warned that she would create new skies over the promised land and even new lands. Why? Because she had cursed it long ago when we broke the covenant. Devarim Eshrimwe Shmone Eshrimwe Arba. Yahweh shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From the heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. That's a curse upon the ecosystem, which is regional. The storms would no longer be rainstorms, but sandstorms. The skies would starve the land, and the land would starve the people. And I know many of you believe that the promised land is in America. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying you're oversimplifying, which I will explain further in an upcoming presentation. This environment is to be made new, which requires a purge of the old, because the former will not be remembered, right? And for those who believe in the New Testament and the idea of an entirely new heaven and new planet Earth, why would heaven itself be remade if you're supposed to be there in your mansions when the earth is remade? The New Jerusalem will not descend on a cloud. It will be built on earth. And you know this because Yehezkel spent 10 chapters describing every brick, every stone, every gate, and every curtain of the third temple in the New Jerusalem, only for Revelation to claim that there would be no third temple in the New Jerusalem on account of Yeshua being our temple. That's an irrevocable contradiction. It's my job to say I told you so because the prophecy is worthless until it's remembered when it comes to pass. Once fulfillment occurs, you have to now reflect on the original prophecy to realize that it came true. When you realize this, you then realize that divine power was in those words because the future was controlled, which can only be the work of the universe itself, controlling its own dimensions, the dimension of time. The universe is all that exists. Yahweh is existence. She is glorified in the fulfillment of prophecy because she is proven to be real. The universe is proven to be sentient.
My job is to prophesy against the Levant and declare the war for desolate heritages. The Great Spirit is going to avenge Wa'el al-Dadu by fanning the flames of war against Benjamin Netanyahu. Iran, in this attack, this begins the purge of the land. Nilotic Africa, Arab North Africa, will become confederate against them in this attack.
Evidence is mounting that Egypt is building a holding area for Palestinian refugees on its border with the Gaza Strip.
Israeli attacks are an undeniable breach of international peace. Algeria condemns in the strongest terms the recent military attacks by the Israeli occupation forces perpetrated against the Islamic Republic of Iran.
And the next phase of the purge, floods and earthquakes, unbearable heat, and volcanic eruption. Lands of the Middle East are going to devour their inhabitants very soon. Floods. unbearable heat.
Temperatures in Tel Aviv broke an 85-year-old record for the month of April on Thursday, April 25th, the Israel Meteorological Service said, as the country remained engulfed in a heat wave for a second straight day. This comes as the European Union's Climate Change Monitoring Service has declared April of 2024 the hottest April on record, not just for Israel, but for the entire world.
Earthquakes.
According to Tehran University Seismological Center, the 4.6 magnitude on the scale of Richter first struck Ahel district in Fars province at 1:56 p.m. Tehran local time on Saturday, May 11th, and the second quake, which seemed to be an aftershock, shook the same district at 2:06 p.m. A local official in Ashkelon district, the epicenter of the quake, cited the local Red Crescent reports as saying that 2 people were injured in the earthquake when they rushed out of their homes. He reported damages to more than 300 houses in the area.
Volcanic eruption.
Finally, we turn to Mount Etna's volcanic eruption as of June 12th, the effects of which have carpeted the Gaza Strip in dangerous sulfur dioxide gas amid ongoing conflict between Hamas and the Israeli Defense Forces. Etna's emissions have even reached as far as the Suez Canal, according to BBC News.
At least 4 people were killed and 120 others injured when an earthquake hit the northeastern parts of Iran on Tuesday. Local media reported the magnitude of 5.0 quake shook up the town of Kashmir.
Saudi Arabia announced extreme heat made this year's Hajj pilgrimage a deadly one for more than 1,300 people. The pilgrimage ended last week. Temperatures to Mecca and other holy sites soared above 124 degrees.